very unexciting and boring.
But then again, you will have an entire teaching community, English teaching community that is going to be against exactly what you just said. Right? Hi everyone, welcome to Education Superheroes podcast. Today we have with us Thanbeer, English master teacher from KL. Thanbeer, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we can move on.
Hi Gabriel. Hi everyone. I'm Thanbeer. I'm an educator from Kuala Lumpur. I'm a master trainer for CFR. I've been teaching for about 7 years now and enjoying my life as an educator.
Wow. Okay, Thanbeer, you and I are associated with this initiative called the Education Superheroes Initiative, which has been going pretty awesome so far, and then we are trying to do a lot of stuff. Like, what is our connection? Why are we connected this way through Education Superheroes? What are we trying to achieve? What would you say about that?
Well, we're a group of teachers with a lot of experience. We have David, we have Diata, we have Karen, we have Sham, we have all, different parts of the world, and we bring different things to the table. And I think that's what makes this group so enriching and dynamic, because we all have different experiences teaching English language and also other subjects from different parts of the world, and we share our experiences.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it before. It's a mission to take our profession to the next level. It's like sometimes the teaching profession is seen as like a dumping ground. I hate that statement. It's like, oh, when I can't get any other job, I'll go into teaching, So it's like the few of us came together saying, you know what, that's not how it is. It is one of the chosen roles that you should go for. And that is exactly why we came together. And now let's jump straight into this, okay? Straight into this. The greatest English classroom. Is this a fair expectation from a student to a teacher?
I think, Gabriel, of course it is. Every student would want and expect that from the teacher, and I think that's a fair expectation. Okay. And they deserve it.
Okay. Very simple and clean answer. Okay, now, I've heard this statement before. English is just way too boring. When we teach, when we come to writing and everything, it is just, that's it. It's just boring, and editing, and it's going to be boring. You should expect that. Now, is English too boring? And can we at all bring any excitement into it?
There's lots of room to bring excitement in the classroom. It all depends on the teacher. If he or she going to concentrate on the grammar, even I would fall asleep in that class, wouldn't you, Gabriel?
I have already fallen asleep many times. And if you go and ask my English teachers, they'll be like, oh, isn't the register number 33, right? That guy? Where the guy is like, he doesn't sleep at home, he sleeps in class. But anyways, yeah.
Well, it depends what we are going to emphasize on. If you're going to emphasize on the interaction and the fun part of it, then that's what the student's going to get. But if you're going to emphasize on the boring stuff, like teaching grammar the traditional way, they're going to lose their interest. Definitely, that's going to be very unexciting and boring.
But then again, you will have an entire teaching community, English teaching community, that is going to be against exactly what you just said. Right? It's like there'll be war. I mean, if I put out your what you just said to a teaching community of English, they'll be like, no, grammar is the way to go. But yeah, and the next question I want to lead up to the next question is, so technically what you are believing is, I know the answer already before you even come up with it. I'm guessing you're saying that
Gabriel,
storytelling...
Sorry, I just got to stop you there. Grammar is important, but it's how you teach it. If you're going to teach it, this is reported speech and this is how you write it. And of course, students are going to fall asleep. But it has to be deductive. It has to be interesting. You've got to engage the interest. Yeah. They have to be part of creating something. That's the way to go.
Yeah. You know, sometimes I'll always tell people is like, I don't know whether you're familiar with this series called Back to the Future trilogy. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. If you look at the movie, the trilogy, right? The way they connect the dots between, you go to 1955, then 1985, and then 2025.
Yes.
That was just mind-blowing. And I was just wondering who wrote this stuff and where is his mind going when he writes these stuff. And I've always been fascinated that, how come our classrooms are not as exciting as this, and why are we still showing the 4 pictures? The
Okay.
first one where the boy buys the noodles from the auntie, and then the second one where the noodles will fly into the air, and the third one there'll be a mop in the
Yes.
hand, and then the fourth one will be a question mark. I don't trigger curiosity, and then I'll be like, why? Okay,
Yes. Yes.
okay. Now, what do you believe it is more important? Is it the storytelling ability or the ability to edit the story? Do
I
you?
think
Yeah.
I
Go
think
ahead.
it's a combination of both, Gabriel. Of course, we have to spend more time in showing the examples, getting them to know the different styles and techniques they can adopt to write a story. Um, and after that process is over, when they start writing and then editing it as well, how because it's a craft. We cannot expect our students themselves cannot expect that once I've written it and that's it, I'm handing it to you. But it's they have to take charge of their creative process. They have to know how to present it in the best way possible. We have to show it to them that these are techniques A to Z, for example. You write the craft now and then say in the best way, present it in the best way possible, and then you have to edit your craft. It's not a
Yeah.
one time thing where I've written, okay, teacher, have it. It's for you to read now. They have to work at their craft. I mean, the best writers as well, they spend a lot of time editing.
Yeah.
Uh, but that takes a lot of time. It's a whole process. It's a long process, and that's what sometimes we don't have time for. That whole process of from draft one to final piece, maybe which is the third attempt, and that is very time consuming. And I think that's where uh, students need to spend time. Teachers need to spend time in order to improve, to bring about improvement in their writing.
Yeah.
They need to
No,
explore.
the both of us have been exploring tools and gadgets and artificial intelligence in the classroom and everything. And students, generally, this is a student feedback. The sample size is very small. It's about 30 of them. So the 30 of them replied back by saying, if the subject matter that we are given is boring, and you are asking us to write something that we are absolutely not interested in writing, then what good does AI do? Which was an extremely intelligent question from a 14-year-old, I believe. A 14-year-old is like, you're giving us a story and you're my favorite pet, my picnic. It's like you're giving us these titles. Or maybe, I mean, something exciting would be if you are going to write a sequel to Avengers Endgame, how are you going to bring the superheroes back? Now I'm going to get curious because I know the whole world watched, right? The whole world watched. But they're asking this question. So the question becomes there, right? It's like, how do you make it exciting? What kind of a revamp do we have to do? What would you suggest?
Well, firstly, I think as teachers, we need to be reflective. We need to act as reflective teachers. We've got to constantly observe what's happening in the classroom, what is of interest to them, and bring that to the class. Uh, if, for example, I mean, my picnic could be a question in an exam. But again, they could bring the superhero into their picnic.
Yeah,
If it's that open-ended, they need to then try to make it interesting for themselves. But from the teacher's point of view, we have to constantly reflect and look at what's working in the classroom and what's not, and then act based on that. I think that's what we need. We need more reflective teachers coming together, and that's what I like about Education Superheroes. The sessions that we have uh, really makes me think. Like the other week, we had a session on blended learning. It really made me think, okay, how I'm going to use, some of the things, like for example, Beata shared, how I'm going to bring these things into my teaching. And as teachers, even though I'm a trainer, I need inspiration. I need to, even though I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer, I need to be inspired by someone else in order to improve my craft. My craft is teaching. And that is something that all teachers need to practice, to become a reflective teacher, to be observant in the classroom, to see what's working and what's not, and improve from there.
yeah. Okay, now the tough one. Okay, the tough one.
Okay, okay. It
I
wasn't
don't know
tough
where
enough.
I belong. I don't know whether I belong to the teachers fraternity or the corporate fraternity, or maybe I'm somewhere in the middle, right?
Okay.
Now, we have been complaining about graduates coming out of school for the longest time. Why can't they write? Where's their creative element? How come they cannot put two sentences together? Why can't they write a subject that attracts people? We've been complaining about their writing for almost forever. It's like, I even know a very, very famous professor from Singapore who said, have we lost the ability to write? I won't name his name because, people might throw stones at him. He's already quite controversial. We should do the next podcast with him, both of us together. And so what do you think? I have always been blaming the teachers. Like anytime a colleague of mine, an ex-colleague of mine who cannot write, I'll be like, what school did you go to? And I've made that mistake. Who's your teacher? Call the teacher right now. I want to talk to that woman. It's like, okay. I'll talk to that man. It's like, and I've done that. I'm a victim of that, and I'm just now openly saying it. So I apologize for that as well, because after a while I reflect that I shouldn't have done that. But that's the natural tendencies. Like, who's the teacher and what is she or he doing in the classroom? Who's to blame, you think?
Yeah, I don't quite blame you as well, Gabriel, for having that perception. But we have to see it, collectively, who are all the stakeholders involved in for that teaching and learning to happen in the classroom. If we are going to assess teachers based on how their students perform in the exams, then definitely the teacher is going to put stress on teaching for the exam and not teaching for communicating and not spending time on developing that skill. But the teacher is going to teach for the child to be able to answer questions in exams, and that involves a lot of rote learning. And anything that involves rote learning and memorizing and not creativity, they are not going to be able to produce that language for something creative. And therefore, when it reaches you, the employment, when they reach for employment at the stage where they need to be employed, you can see all these problems coming up. So who's to be blamed? And most often teachers are.
Is our blame. Yeah.
Is that fair? At the same time, that teachers know that this is a problem. It's so easy to tell, we need to find a balance, but really that's what it is. We need to prepare students for the exam, and we need to prepare them to be able to communicate effectively in the real world. But at the same time, I think policymakers need to look at this problem and really try to make education systems a bit less exam oriented. That's one. And also the conversations that we have as teachers, instead of asking, have you finished your syllabus? Maybe we could say, how did you teach direct questions and indirect questions in the writing? Do you think they were able to use it effectively before we move on to the next topic? So the conversations that we have with each other has to change. If we don't change that narrative, then our teaching is going to take the same path, and it's never going to change. So we have to change the way we communicate with each other, the kinds of things we discuss with each other, become more reflective in our teaching. We want students to be able to communicate well and also to be able to answer exam questions and really work at ways how to do this better. And sometimes we just need to sit down together and talk about it, and that's when ideas would come. If we're going to work in silos and sit down and wait for some magic to happen, it's not going to happen. We have to sit down and talk to each other, and that's what I like about education superheroes.
Right. The reflective part, isn't it? We have those conversations.
Yes.
And we be our biggest critiques.
Yes, and there's so many teachers out there who are burnt out because they're being assessed based on how the students perform in the exams, and that's not very motivating, isn't it, Gabriel?
Yeah. For both parties, right? For the students and the teachers.
Yeah. Let's say I'm going to be assessed, if it's just going to be assessed based on how many authentic learning experiences you create and how did students fare in using questioning techniques in that experience, it's much more enriching for both the teacher and the students that we were able to use this technique in a real, authentic, like um, situation. So that's yeah, that's what we've got to do.
Right. Right. Okay, now if there's one change you're going to make in your classroom, one change that you really make in the classroom, and then it takes the next level of being the greatest English classroom on the planet, what would that one change be?
Throw away the syllabus. I'm joking. Uh, that one thing, oh dear. I wish I had more time, one thing.
Right.
And that's not going to happen. I only have, that limited time. I would love to create more authentic experience for the students where I teach them a particular technique or there's input of language, and they're instantly able to use it in a real life like situation. I think that is what I want to do more of in my classroom.
Yeah. I wanted to share with you something real quick. I remember doing this class once. It was a bunch of 13-year-old kids. So I took over the class and then I said, hey, let's go for a walk. So, and this is in Singapore, it's kind of in the town area. Then 40 of us went for a walk. And there's this bridge over there. And for the first time, and this is a very rich school. And these kids, the cheapest car that will come inside will be a BMW. So it's like under the bridge, there were actually homeless people in Singapore. And these kids have never seen homeless people in Singapore. So it's a place called Owen Road. And then if you go turn right into that Owen Road, it is where all the elderly people live. The people who are above, 60, 70 years old. And then we went inside this marketplace and then we ordered sugarcane drinks for all 40 of us. And then this sugarcane uncle, what he did was so beautiful. He made little sugarcane toothbrushes, and then he brought it to the students and say, use this to brush your teeth tomorrow morning. And then that's why, then you say, you see my teeth. And then when we went back into the classroom, all we wrote was, we wrote an essay on a 30-minute walk. And I was absolutely floored by the quality of writing. They did not start the essay by saying one beautiful Sunday morning or something like that. And that was my awakening point. It's like, if you really do them a favor by creating a decent classroom, and they will step up to the challenge. But of course, I faced the music after that. The principal came in. Why was there no report given to me saying that you're going to take the kids for a walk? There was no consent form done. And I, of course, being the person that I am, I told the teachers, like, my job is to make them out right, and I'm going to do that in whatever ways I can. So I think if that liberty is given to the educator, see that we've got 40 to 1, right? We've got 25 or 40 to 1. If you trust the educator and then give them full playing field and then just say, make these kids speak and write amazingly well, I think we will step up to the challenge, right? Instead of giving, this is my opinion, instead of giving us a book that is this thick and then after a set of rules and then after that a set of rubrics, and then we are like, I thought I was supposed to teach. It's like, now you're giving me all these things. My time is taken over here. Then who does the actual learning part, So I just wanted to add that. Thanbeer, thank you so much. It was so wonderful talking to you over the last 15 minutes. We should do more of this. The next time, I'm going to invite Professor Kirpal Singh, that controversial professor I was telling you about.
Okay.
He wouldn't mind me saying that he knows how controversial he is. And let's talk to him. And he's actually the vice chairman of the Creative Writing Society of America. I didn't even know there was such a society. Okay. So let's bring him on board. And also let's offer a challenge. Let's offer a challenge to these education superheroes out there. And we all come together and say, let's figure out how to create a very, very engaging classroom with whatever tools we might have. You may be running a class in a village somewhere in Bangkok or something like that, or you may have a high-tech classroom somewhere. It really shouldn't matter. Let's all get together and then we can figure out, would you be game for that?
Oh yes, I hope more teachers will join us at Education Superheroes.
Yeah.
So we can have productive conversations and have the greatest classrooms that we can
Yeah.
create.
Which unit are you taking charge of in the first series? Do you remember the unit that you're taking charge of?
Authentic learning.
That right. That authentic learning, guys. The guys out there, authentic learning is the most fun. It should be like a party. It should be a picnic. It shouldn't even be called a Zoom session. We should have like a party with a glass of coffee. Let's not drink wine and all that stuff. But okay, looking forward to seeing you again, Thanbeer. Let's do another one soon. Okay?
Yes, Gabriel. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.